Holy hell, guys. That game was amazing. It was beautiful, inspirational, and just great entertainment. So, if you stuck around for more of that, you'll be disappointed. Um, Real quick, point of order. Who's Conzoli won the giveaway? I don't know. You can see it there in chat. If you're still there, go ahead and put in a little message and then join our Discord and message Solo for your giveaway if he's there. Anyway, just let me know if he doesn't respond, he or she. Okay, so welcome to Fawks Talks, the only show on the Fable 42 Network devoted to all the other shows on the Fable 42 Network, where we build community through friendship, gaming, and chaos. I'm your host, Ronan Fawks. With me, as always, is Cody. Say hello, Cody.
Howdy, howdy.
Perfect. Fire tonight. If you guys are joining us for the first time, I want to both welcome you and go ahead and apologize. This show is basically a show to keep the community up to date on what is going on with the network, primarily in the campaigns, and also to get to know the players. So I provide completely unbiased recaps and then provide everyone with journalistic excellence as I sit down with the players of those games and we talk about their characters and the worlds in which they play in. So tonight, we will take a look at Vault 42, where a group of strangers wander out aimlessly into a barren landscape, like one of those desert festivals, but with less art and slightly more hygiene. We'll also see a group of social misfits with the couth of a loud fart in church. Try not to be any of those things as they attend a high-class party in Legends of Sha'oghal. And lastly, we'll see exactly how many personalities can fit into 5 people in Realms of Ukador. But before all that, let's get into some sponsors and announcements. Okay, so first sponsor is Griffin Co. So everything that you see on those streams that is 3D printed is brought to us by Griffin Co. And typically, we are sponsored by Vorpal Board. So typically what you see on your screen is the audio visual displays, the digital dice, all that sort of stuff is Vorpal powered. As far as other mentions, other announcements, we are on Patreon and Ko-Fi, all that sort of stuff, how that contributes to the streams and how you can contribute to the streams and all the extra stuff you get. All that stuff's down in the information below. If you guys miss any of our streams, any of the shows that I talk about, you can find them on demand on our Twitch, but you can also find them on YouTube. So trying to get people to go there, like, subscribe, comment, all those sort of things on the videos. So if you guys get a chance, check them out on there. And as far as our shop goes, we do have a shop now on our website where we sell merchandise, like all shops do, I guess. We have the Fable 42 stuff with the shirts, and then we also have some Wizard stuff as such. And we'll have some more stuff to come. I'm actually kind of throwing around the idea of a Fawks Talk shirt, so hopefully that'll come in soon. Sleeves not required. And as far as other announcements, this is our 4th show, which means that we've been doing this for 4 weeks, which means I get to pick our employee of the month. As the showrunner, I feel like it's my job to make that selection. And I've chosen the person that I think we can't do the show without. So without further ado, I picked me. Ronan is the employee of the month. Thank you. Thank you. I did not see this coming. It's a great honor. I appreciate it greatly. And I'll do my best to keep up the good work. Okay. So stupid. Okay. With that, I still have no idea what I'm doing and you have nothing better to do. So let's start some Fawks Talks. Cody, hit me with that intro.
Well, no, we're not gonna have that intro.
Awesome.
Oh wait, it's up.
Okay.
We're already back live though.
Jesus God. All right, fantastic. All right, well, whatever. Yeah, whatever. It's not gonna get any better than that. Nope.
I can slow it down if you want and be 8 seconds.
Nope. Quicker it gets over, the better. Okay. Anyway, okay. So what's going on with the Fable 42 universe? Okay, so let's see. First off, we just got done with that the all person of color game, The Threat of Kamali. Great game for a great cause, raising money for excuse me, prevent cancer. We'll talk about that a little bit more. We have Campbell on later on in the show. He was one of the producers, so we'll talk to him about it. Speaking of producers, we also have we also have a new producer, which we'll talk about also in a bit. And as far as shows go, announcements, I think we're kind of working on something for Wizards of Ukador, playing around with the scheduling, getting things finalized for that, which is pretty cool. Know it's a fan favorite. It's definitely one of my favorite shows. And, we're trying to bring more of that content to you guys. So stay tuned there. And of course, this is Thanksgiving week. So I hope everyone had a happy and healthy meal with family, either in person or virtual. Ours was very unique, to say the least. I don't know. I told Cody this the other day. My refrigerator's been broken for like a month. And it's still broken. And so what we decided to do was we were just going to order like the Thanksgiving thing from one of the stores. And we got up Thursday to do that. And we didn't set the time in which we wanted to pick it up. So we ordered it at 8 and they said it was going to be ready by 8:45. So we picked up our Thanksgiving dinner at 8:45 a.m. and ate it at like 9:30. So whatever. It was all right. It's still family time. So Cody, how was your Thanksgiving?
That was great. April made a crock pot turkey for the first time. Turned out good.
I've never had that. I don't know what that's like. Is it? I don't know what that is. It tender?
It was moist.
More words.
Yep. You got it there.
Okay.
No, yeah, it was in the crock pot. It was pretty good.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, let's get into the show. So despite the fact that Honkers is straight goes to me for a month, we still have a great show for you tonight. We have an all Frostguard night tonight, hence the reason I'm sporting my house shirt. So but it's going to be focused on Legends of Sha'oghal because both of these people are also in that. So our guest first is Taryn Hackett. She plays the shifter monk Jinx. And then Jordan Campbell, who plays Rex, which is the human rogue, warlock, cleric, serial killer. I don't know. In any case, if anyone's curious, I've already spoken to Casual. Luckily, we're not on Vorpal tonight because I've already talked to him about his impulse rolls. We're not doing that on the show. No, I can see him there giving me the side eye. All right. Anyway, so as you know, with all of our shows, when it comes to Fable 42 campaigns, the choice is always theirs. So let's start running this recap to see how they did. All right. So first up, we'll start with Vault 42, which is we're on episode 2 now, which is New Amigos. So we start off with the Walk of Shame, right? The morning after, or in Petra's case, it's the Walk of Victory. Petra wakes up early to find that her one-night stands are still passed out from the drinking and festivities from the night before, and her Walk of Victory will take her right over to James's possessions. Feeling that her performance warranted some compensation, she proceeds to steal his stash of caps, 180 to be precise. She then proceeds to write a nice little paper note written in crayon that reads, "Catch you next time I'm in town." And she leaves that note on his naked butt because after a night like that, I'm sure that's the first place he'll be checking. And in a moment of hilarious irony, she then puts those stolen caps in her own false bottom. And then she heads to the butcher shop for a different type of meat. She meets up with her surrogate father figure, Harry the Butcher, to clean up and count her bounty. That's right. She uses a back room of a meat house to freshen up. Pretty on brand, but it does sound pretty gross. But full disclosure, I've showered at worse places. My grandparents could have been featured on an episode of Hoarders. So there's that. And then after all that, she orders some meat for the group. Get your head out of the gutters, people. Meanwhile, Alicia, as Tipper, had the first bit of technical difficulty of the night, which I thought was a bummer until I realized it was actually just foreshadowing. Clay awakens in the tavern and immediately starts helping set up for the day, quickly becoming non-employee of the month. Ash is also an early riser. She does this to stretch, work out a bit, come up with at least 3 rules before sunrise. Who knows? And if you're wondering if her mood was just because of the day she had before, I regret to inform you that she's still kind of an asshole, which I am now calling Ash Hole, by the way. She proceeds to stand over Marcus in what I'm sure is a non-threatening way. But anyone with kids can tell you, regardless of what's in front of you, it is truly horrifying to wake up to somebody watching you. But we learn that she did not wake him because of rule number 1, no touching. I don't know if that's the actual rule number. I'm actually not even sure if they are numbered, but I'm going to number them and see if they stick. And I know what you're thinking, probably the no touching rule kind of makes her more of an asshole, but we barely know her. Maybe she's a germaphobe. Maybe she's like the Howie Mandel of this group, right? I don't know. And between the Hoarders and Howie Mandel, I bet you didn't expect multiple OCD jokes tonight, did you? But I've got that on lock that I check 5 times before bed. The group all meets up in the tavern for an early bite before their mission. Before deciding what to do, Tipper just does a quick, unconsented scan of the group, which sounds very technical, but is actually just her standing there staring at them like a neckbeard at a college party. The group wants to head to Rita's, which is a bit awkward for Petra, because no one likes to run into their strange. Clay, taking the hint, stays with Petra, and they share a radiated meal together, which is like my aunt's meatloaf. It tastes a little weird and it might kill you, but it gets the job done. Marcus, Ash, and Tipper then head to Rita's for their down payment. And lucky for them, she was not cleaned out by Petra. Well, no, I'm not going to touch it. It's during this time that Tipper sees Ash bully Marcus and tries to mimic that behavior on an easy mark, which is not really fair at this point. It's like proving that you're fast by challenging your 5-year-old to a race. But it is quite an ego boost. Either way, when that's done, the group heads over to the drugstore for some supplies. The owner of the store is named Batista, continuing the WWE references in this show. Ash is able to intimidate the owner into giving them a better price on some stim packs, food, and beverages. And it's also during this time that Ash reaffirms her disdain of robots, and Tipper starts to wonder if she's programmed to sweat. They regroup, and they all stop by the butcher to get stuffed full of Harry's meat. Okay, hold on. So I write this really late at night for a couple of reasons. One, it's the best time for me to write, and for scheduling, and 2, to make up stupid lines like this. So I'm going to try to read this again. They regroup and all stop by the butcher to get stuffed full of Harry's meat before heading out on their way 2-day journey to 5 Mile Farm. There, I did it. So dumb. Okay. It all immediately starts off on the wrong foot as they argue over going by road or by countryside. I know this feeling, or I get this feeling that this is sort of going to be the theme among this group, right? So they're going to argue over everything. They're going to argue where to go, how to get there, whether or not Ash is going to remove Tipper's batteries. But they eventually head out, and in the beginning, it all seems pretty easygoing, right? The only weird thing is just how much Tipper is curious about Marcus's package. God, the innuendos of this game are stunning. And then on the road, they come across a few old abandoned cars, and inside of one of them is a long dead corpse with a bright orange bob cut, wearing a shirt that read Fabled Con 2077. The skeleton in the car was positively identified as our own Taryn. Now, they say it was because of the orange hair, but I'd like to think it was because of the Frost Guard license plate and the bumper sticker that read Thagan is my co-pilot. And while we're on the subject, I call bullshit that she was even there in the first place, because even in the threat of a nuclear attack, we all know she'd be in a dark corner of some room rolling shit on Jadobi's Discord channel. I could see her. This is weird. Anyway, so they also found a board game. They found some pre-war money, a 5e player's handbook, and some dice, naturally. And then in the trunk, they found a small bobble-headed man wearing blue and yellow and doing a flex pose. That's right. So the group found their first bobblehead, and this perk gives the possessor a +1 to their strength stat. And isn't that the most Taryn thing ever, right? A macabre scene that should horrify people, but instead manages to bring fablers joy. Night soon falls, and it's there that these people who managed to make it to adulthood living in a wasteland realize that they didn't bring a source of light. Petra is the first to suggest bedding down, because of course she is, and the group does so. And after starting a fire, they decide to get to know each other better. Petra asks Ash what she cares about, and we learn that Ash doesn't travel or doesn't venture too far up Maslow's pyramid. Meanwhile, Clay, who had previously eaten random things off tables, fooled me into thinking he had standards by expressing a desire for a proper meal. But instead, he uses his own sweat to salt a piece of radiated meat, which I still think makes him the best lunch lady in Texas. He leaves his mask on while eating. Why? Where I lost it. Here you guys. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. So he leaves his mask on while eating because, as someone said about my beard once, some faces are meant to be covered up. My mom is a sweet lady. Later, Clay and Petra cozy up to one another, and we learn that Clay might be on the run, which might explain the use of masks. However, the jury is still out on his bright pink shawl. After that, Petra makes a move on Clay, presumably because he's there and he's the best option outside of Taryn's corpse. Ash suggests taking a watch, which Tipper and Petra misinterpret for drastically different reasons. The group does eventually settle in for the night, with the exception of Tipper, who doesn't want to power down in front of the others. She outlasts Ash's watch, thank God, but forces poor Marcus to once again be in an awkward situation. He's forced to watch as Tipper goes full Alicia Vikander a la Ex Machina and loses her skin. He's always in these awkward situations. But it's not just him, right? So if you combine the entirety of his past 24 hours, Petra's one night stand, Ash's loss, and eating whatever Clay had prepared, the amount of general regret in this group is like the quantity typically only seen in church on Easter. It's weird. Either way, in this situation, Marcus luckily keeps his cool, suggests that Tipper lay down, cover up with a blanket, use his hat to cover up her face, and so that she can recharge in peace. And this works, and no one is the wiser to their strange new friend's origins, other than Marcus, who now shares the secret. But it is, we should note, during this conversation, we do learn that Tipper is a 5th generation synth, and therefore technically should not exist, like a Disney sequel. We also learn that Tipper is from a place in Texas called Happy, which is a real place. Look it up. There's actually a movie based on it, where there are 3 escaped prisoners who basically pretend to be organizers of a beauty pageant. I don't know why I'm telling you this, other than the fact that you guys should probably need to know that. I don't know. Anyway, the next day, during travel, they come across an abandoned shack, and we get our first battle map made by the incredible April. It does really capture like the barrenness, the dilapidated, the sheer brokenness of it all. It was like a Fawks family photo. Coming from the building is a loud buzzing, signaling potential wasps. It appears the rich dominance will continue even after the Great War. Oh, never mind. Those are actual wasps. Okay, cool. Wasp-like creatures known as stingwings. Got it. A fight ensues, and Petra proves that she is efficient with a butcher's cleaver. Clay proves himself a useful ally in combat. Tipper makes some robots and gets her go-go gadget boots on. Ash goes Hulk smash on those tiny robots. And least surprising of all, Marcus almost dies. And that's where we are with Vault 42. was a great episode, and sort of getting into the meat of it now. The battle map was amazing, so definitely go check it out on the VOD if you haven't seen it. And as far as the next episode and seeing where they go, which is really anyone's guess, tune in tomorrow, next Saturday, tomorrow, at a time. Cody, what time is Vault 42?
It's 8:30 Central, 6:30 on the East Coast. Yep.
All right, cool. 8:30 Central. Okay, sorry about that. I just lost my internet connection. I had like 37 good jokes that you guys didn't hear. We're just going to skip all those, I guess, and go straight into Legends of Sha'oghal. So we are on episode 6. You're invited. So we start out with the group together in the lounge. Frizz hands out his communication device, version 2.0, and it's better, unless you ask Mata, who had her favorite feature, the vibration, removed. And it still only makes a single call, but I think that would seriously come in handy to avoid, those members of your family. Rex proposes going shopping, and Frizz asks the group to stick together, which I think at this point seems like a pretty insurmountable task. So the group is let loose on the town after the meeting with Professor McGrath and decide to grab some supplies before the party that night. They head to an arcane shop called Arcane something else with an A, which seems like an odd name, but the owner does seem pretty eccentric. Here we learn something about the world too, primarily that there are no background checks required to purchase magical items. This seems dangerous because these crazy, depressed possible sociopaths should probably be banned from magical enhancements. But it is probably for the best because they do need it. They are basically made of wet toilet paper, minus the rejected Disney animatronic. They do start off nice and slow, right? Rex is looking to enhance his arcane focus, and Jinx wants some, pretty jewelry, some bracers to be specific. But they were too much, so she settles for something called an Amulet of the Drunkard, which I think is just a small coin with 2 A's on it. Then, as is par for the course, the group goes completely off the rails with their shopping list. And listen, I get it. This guy goes, he sees a big sale, right? He's got the blinders on. But imagine this group walking in. Just imagine it, right? 2 gnomes yelling, possibly a giant robot, a possum, and they come in and just start asking for an arsenal of weapons and defenses. You're not going to ask a single question, not even one. Anyway, he doesn't ask any questions and instead gives it to them at prices that make me believe that they're actually his wife's items and they're about to go through a messy divorce. The name of the shop should have been Arcane Estate Sale, with the tagline, "Everything's got to go because Janice is a bitch who couldn't keep her hands off my brother." But either way, it appears to work because the group does clean him out. His shop now looks like the toiletry aisles at any... Hello?
We lost Solo. You okay, Solo?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay, we can...
I literally was choking to death.
Okay.
That was a good
All
one.
right.
Sorry.
Thank you. All right. Okay, cool. All right. So anyway, it appears to work because now the shop looks like the toiletry aisle at any major retailer. So upon exiting the shop, a courier delivers a note to Mata. I have no idea how he was able to track down such an inconspicuous group. But it turns out that it is the invitation to the party. And at this point, they head to Rihanna's tailor shop to pick up their custom party outfits. And it's about this time that they realize that they forgot not only to put a rush on the order, but also forgot to save their money. I have no idea what generation we're currently in Legends, but this group is obviously millennials. And after learning the price of their custom pieces, they try to strike a deal with the orc seamstress who gives them a job. But actually, they're millennials, so she gives them a gig to find and cinder things to make special dyes. With this deal, they do get a discount and are now outfitted for the party. With the group now supplied and outfitted, they all head back to the lounge to get ready for the party. Time jumps forward closer to the start, but not before Queer Adventure Time wins what I think is their 400th raffle. Seriously, they're picking my next lotto numbers. After getting dressed, though, Frizz makes sure everyone has their communication devices and gives Daffodil a contraption that is able to display images of her past feats, which I presume at this point is just a repeat of her navigating funholes. Rex appears nervous prior to departure and looks at the party from an academic standpoint, because nothing says party animal like observation, data collection, and analyzation. At this point, it's more likely that Rex, not Oscar, is a precursor to future Tipper. Just waiting for his skin to fall off. Sorry. I feel like I gotta apologize now because he's staring at me. Meanwhile, Jinx comes to terms with this completely foreign concept known as feelings, but decides to avoid them and ghost Theo by using the old Oscar distraction and with the help of Rex. The group, she makes it outside to see the carriage waiting to transport them to the party. The group files in, and Oscar attaches to the back like some sort of sentient baggage. It weighs a ton, but is nothing compared to the emotional baggage held within the cart. On the way, Rex is persuaded to derobe, showing the formal clothes underneath, and causes Mata and Daffodil to discuss the finer details of indecent exposure. But they do eventually arrive at a large manor. It should be noted it is not the largest manor, much to the disappointment of the one who normally sleeps in garbage bins. This is Lord Reese's manor, and this next part I literally took right from Diane's notes because I know she wrote this on purpose to try to make me pronounce all these names. So I'm just going to read it verbatim and butcher every one of them. So here we go. So this is Lord Reese's manor, and as they enter, Lord Reese's was busy talking the ear off of Sir Eogan. Yeah, I know she said it 100 times. I can't remember. Two dwarf nobles from Minthjaw, Gazur, and Vibeka Solanson were in deep conversation with Carson Aeolos, which I do know that name, who was standing near the Goliath bodyguard Thorkill Manfredson. Sitting alone, sipping wine by the fire, was an elf noble from Ballcross, Vanya Morfina. Come on, Diane, you're killing me. Jesus. All right. Anyway, there was a bunch of people at the party, and they all had cool names, and they were doing stuff. So that was happening. All right. Anyway, Avis pulled Mata aside after ditching Daffodil, who needed a setup for her performance. Avis gives her the rundown of those said guests. During this time, Daffodil set up near the grand piano to start her performance of Hello from the Possum Side. But everyone's a damn critic, and this draws the attention of that Carson Aeolos, who sent his bodyguard over to kindly ask her to shut the fuck up. Avis asked Mata to speak to Aeolos and gauge what he knew about the resistance and the order. After Daffodil stopped her performance, Aeolos came over to potentially speak with both Rex and Mata. Rex going first, eagerly asking Aeolos about deification and how he had managed to stay alive all these years since he had read about him and he was around during the Divergence. This, I assume, Rex thinks is completely normal, not at all insane conversation of someone who is definitely not a sociopath. Sorry. Aelos tells him that he is a silly boy and shouldn't believe anything he reads, and that he is a mere descendant of that Aelos from that time. And with that, he turns his attention to Mata, who starts talking about the resistance and other things, according to him, that she should not know about. I think between these two conversations, Aelos was wishing that he had trusted his gut, avoided the party, and stayed home for a little Netflix and Mage Hand. Mata diverts the conversation, and by intentionally breaking a glass in her hand, and that forces him to basically escort her to the washroom, where the group gets excited by the DM's description of a toilet. Seriously, look it up. Once alone, he grabs her bleeding hand and tells her to watch what she says. During this brief exchange, they do come to an agreement where Mata will agree to inform them on the resistance and the order and feed that information back to him. And after that, everyone sits down for a long, awkward dinner. And actually, it should be noted during this time, Daffodil goes full possum on the surrounding dishware, and Art imitates life because Lizzie ends up knocking her own drink over, and it was just a thing of beauty. It was perfect. Okay, so after dinner, while everyone was enjoying a little after-dinner coffee, Rex tries to speak with Aelos again, demanding that he tell him what he wants to know. And seeing the dark shadow wash over his eyes, Aelos does tell him that he is foolish for trying to seek this deification, and he will surely die in pursuit of it. He also tells him that he actually is the only one, the one and only Carson Aeolus, but he will not help him. Rex must do this on his own. And with that, the group does leave the party. The next day, they all gather their things and purchase a draft horse and a cart and head east on the first part of this new quest, which I'm absolutely sure will go 100% according to plan. And that is Legends of Sha'oghal. So if you guys want to, you guys are all caught up now. So if you want to keep following along, check them out. That is on Mondays at that time that I don't write any of these down. I'll look it up. I'll get it to you later. I have two Legends of Sha'oghal.
5:30.
5:30, exactly. That's what I was going to guess. East, West, Pacific time. Jesus. All right, cool. All right, so now we turn from the fun world of social ineptitude and depression to family drama and general life trauma that is Realms of Ukador. And tonight we're going to look at episode 14, A Broken Past. Give me a second. It's hard to talk. All right, so we'll get through this one, and then we'll take our break. All right, so just a little pre-recap, just because we're a little further along in this show. So the party had finally reunited with Kiwan in the Artificer's Tower. There they met a new threat that went by the name Victor. The party was a good match for the creature, but then Kyriel destroyed one of the power coils, maybe on purpose, maybe not. Jury's still out. I think it was. Either way, Victor seized on the opportunity to escape the clutches of the Artificer. He plane shifts out of the tower, leaving the group alone, but not for long, because several constructs now are released from the now open cages. And after Carrick falls, though, they do manage to destroy those constructs. The Artificer gained control of all the party members after that, minus Eclipse and Kyriel. He gave them a choice: either go into the cells or he would kill their friends. And after some convincing, they do listen. So now the party is locked away in a cell. Roland is once again controlled by the Artificer. And as the group discusses what to do, Kiwan attempted to sway her brother. She was successful, but accidentally notified the Artificer of their scheme. And Kiwan tried to talk to the Artificer to get him to spare her brother. And that was about as successful as you think it would be. And the episode ended with the Artificer revealing that he was Nafiko's father. So we start up there with her response. Then, oh my God, it got weird. So Nafiko had a real sort of United States of Terror moment with multiple people inside her fighting over control of her mind and voice. Not really fighting, I guess, but there were multiple people in there and they all had their turn to speak. And I know there were some comparisons to the movie Split, but for some reason I was just reminded, do you guys remember that movie Multiplicity with Michael Keaton? It's a great movie. It only shares like mild similarity to the situation, but that's just the thought I kept having. And Steve, who liked pizza. Okay, so we also get a better look at the true artificer, who is described by Solo as half Ronin, which means he's about as 50% as attractive. And you know what? I actually don't feel bad for him because being this beautiful is actually a burden. And speaking of rugged good looks, them being in this situation made me long for our lovely Goliath Kavor. Where did he go? We'll get to that in a second. Anyways, the artificer continues to reveal that he knew a great deal about everyone, right? He reads them like a book, like he's been taking notes on them for years. Sort of like Rex would do. It might be Rex, I'm just saying. It's probably Rex. I'm right. Clip it. It's definitely right. Okay, so anyways, he continues to poke and pry the group, playing on their fears, pulling on all the right strings. Right, he exclaiming to Eclipse that his parents are also dead, trying to get a rise out of him. And they all sort of remain imprisoned while the artificer taunts them. They get more and more angry, but despite all their rage, they're just still good buddies in a cage. And I'm not apologizing for that joke. It was right there. I had to take it. This is my job. But you know who does feel bad? It's Kavor, because it turns out he's strung up in the ceiling on Rosaria, thanks to the artificer, proving that brain is mightier than brawn. Those be blessed that contain both. Eventually, the artificer revealed some interesting information to Carrick as well, claiming that he knows that Carrick's father killed his mother, getting Carrick fired up before revealing that his father was actually there. So, just to reiterate, the artificer has Carrick's father and Keewan's brother, knows why Kyriel was sold and discarded, has killed Eclipse's family, including his sister, which he used to help make Nafiko. This guy is literally a four-armed therapy bill. But anyway, back on track. He makes a few motions with his hands, and all of a sudden, a new cell appears containing a black dragonborn by the name of Riven. And it is, in fact, Carrick's father. The two exchange some words before Carrick is provoked to fight his dad. Not like a euphemism for exercising your inner demons of a traumatic childhood, but like an actual fight, which for Carrick's probably the same thing. Riven had some very carefully placed attacks, weakening Carrick, but not enough. Carrick took down his father, but instead of killing him, only knocked him out. Irritated by this, the artificer stops fiddling himself from underneath the robes long enough to lift Riven by the back of his head and made Karen look into his father's eyes as he crushed his skull, leaving Carrick's dead father on the ground and then finishing off Kavor, which I think we can all agree is the real tragedy here because it's so damn unnecessary. He was probably just jealous that Kavor, like myself, is 50% more handsome. From there, the artificer decides to leave. But luckily, before that, we get a peek behind the curtain, or under the robes in this case, with regards to the artificer's plan. He wants to use a giant dragon construct to cause mayhem and destruction so that he can swoop in and save the day. So it's basically the plot of the first Incredibles movie. The party from this point is confused, angry, but most importantly, still trapped. The group thinks about how broken they are and just sort of awaits their fate, like a young emo Ronin on a typical Saturday night. A dozen of those small drones do emerge and drag the dead bodies out of the room. Carrick has to watch his father be dragged away. Some of the group tries to rest while others sit and try to process some recent events. And Kyriel tries to cast Sending towards Theron, which, relying on him, is the perfect indicator of how fucked they are in this moment. Then, in a stroke of luck, the white owl that had been accompanying Kavor stands and watches Eclipse. Eventually, the owl greets him and offers him a deal. Both are needing something, and it seems that they could use each other. The two create a bond of companionship, which is ironic, kind of like the fact that the cat got the bird companion. It's kind of like those funny videos that you see online about improbable friendships, like the dog and the squirrel. The owl hands Eclipse a necklace and that once belonged to Kavor. Eclipse is then flooded with arcane knowledge along with some new abilities. Eclipse with magic. It was like that time my grandma got on the internets. But unlike Grandma Fawks, Eclipse instantly shrinks into a tiny form and then disappears. Eclipse rushes up the stairs in search for the artificer. Nafiko sends Tyvar along with him. Eclipse makes it to the third floor where he finds the reactor powered by a large Rosari crystal. Thinking of a new plan, he tells his new owl friend to lure the artificer into the room, and she does so. And an Eclipse immediately attacks. First attacking the eyes, then the nose, then the tongue, then the feet, like an adult version of the game Operation. While attacking, Eclipse's owl friend casts hold on the artificer, who is actually unable to break the spell. And in the last moment, Eclipse makes one final move, yells out to his sister, claiming that he will see her soon. And with that, Eclipse stabs the device, causing a chain reaction. The reactor explodes and incinerates the artificer, which, for all his talk, left himself pretty open for a sort of Death Star style Achilles heel. Eclipse was able to dive out of the way, but that wasn't enough. He fell unconscious, and pieces of the ceiling ended up falling on him, which, like, that's got to be like his fourth life by now. I don't know. I'm not counting, but like that's a lot at this point. But what that means is we'll get at least 5 more of these types of decisions in the future. So that's pretty dope. After the explosion, the party jumps into action, right? Of course. So they get out of their cells. Kyriel and Nafiko run up the stairs to aid Eclipse. Kiwin goes to her brother, and Carrick searches for his father. Kiwin and Roland escape and begin to flee, but Roland stops. And after giving Kiwin some inspiration, tells her that he loves her, and then basically polymorphs into a large creature to assist some of the survivors in the higher levels. And Kyriel and Nafiko do end up finding Eclipse just in time, and getting him to his feet, they start rushing back downstairs. Party is able to rescue the survivors and flee the tower. Getting down to the main floor, they are greeted by Orgul and several dozen of the other villagers that are armed and ready to help with the escape. And they all left the tower as it started to come down. There were several large explosions, and the tower started to cave in on itself, but there was no sign of Carrick, because of course Solo had one more asshole move. A few moments later, though, as the doors began to crash in, at the last second, Carrick came rushing out with the body of his fallen father over his shoulder. And that is where we are with that. That was a heavy episode. Lots happened. But I think it's been kind of, I've talked about this a couple times, it's been very boom, boom, boom. I think now we might get a moment of respite so they can kind of process some of the million things that have happened to them over the course of like the past 72 hours. So that's going to be pretty interesting. So to find out what happens next, tune in next week. That'll be Wednesday at 6:30 Pacific time. So that'll be that. And there you have it. So you guys are all caught up on all the choices that were made this week. I think we are good to take a little 5-minute break. Let me grab some water and we will be back. Go ahead and enter raffle into the chat for a mid-show giveaway. And we'll be back with our guests to ask them some questions.